Rappie. So the Six Nations took a break this past weekend, and it turns out there was a bunch of club rugby happening in the background this whole time. Who would have thought? Maybe it's a sign that the world of sport is returning back to normal after the dumpster fire that was 2020. But we're not going to be looking at any club rugby this week. Instead, I'm going to try and explain what the Six Nations is from the perspective of a toothless southern commoner. A few caveats. I'm from the south, as mentioned many times, so that means hashtag not my championship. Rugby championship for life! Secondly, I've only really started caring about the northern comps since Ireland, Wales and England got really good and started beating the Springboks regularly, which sucks. And the last personal failing is I just kind of found it boring. I would rather watch South Africa versus Australia or Argentina versus New Zealand in warm, fast conditions. Much better for me than Scotland versus England in freezing rain on a muddy cabbage patch. Overview time. As the name suggests, the Six Nations Championship is between the national rugby teams of 6 different countries. England, Scotland, Wales, France, Italy and Ireland. England has won the most trophies outright, but if you add shared trophies in, they are on level pegging with Wales, which is a nice little pub quiz factoid. That's the overview. Now onto each team and my cliche-filled description of each of them, including some of their best players. One has to start with England, since they invented the sport, and for that I have to be thankful. They are a slick, modern and cosmopolitan rugby team, coached by one coach each from the big 3 of the Southern Hemisphere teams. Their head coach is the very prickly Eddie Jones, and maybe the best coach in the world. His defensive coach is the very aerodynamic New Zealander John Mitchell, and their forwards coach is South African Matt Proudfoot, who is very unaerodynamic, but he's still my boy. Their best player is probably the super cool Maury Toje. He's super smart, super professional and an absolute shit to play against. Next is Wales. After New Zealand and South Africa, I can't think of another country that loves rugby as much as Wales. Maybe Fiji. They won in 2019 under their previous coach, and they were so good they could probably beat everyone except New Zealand. As Rassie Erasmus once said, they are tough fuckers. Recently though, they've struggled to hit the same heights as they did in 2019 under their new New Zealand-born coach Wayne Pivac. Their most important player is legend and basically indestructible captain Alan Wynne-Jones. He holds the record for the most international matches played at 154, which is insane. He started playing in 2006 before the iPhone was invented. Now, should I roll my R for this one? Yes. Next up, Ireland. Now that sounded shit. Ireland. Like Wales, Ireland has a new coach, and like Wales, they are struggling to hit the same heights under the new guy as they did under the last guy. Their new head coach, Andy Farrell, is trying to move away from the extremely detailed possession-based game plan of the previous era. I don't think they've realized yet that sometimes to change a game plan, you do need to change players. And maybe the current players in the team are just starting to get on a bit. There are a lot of 30-somethings in this team, which is fine, but sometimes you do have to select players to match the game plan you want to play. Keep the old guys there just to guide them a bit. Now, it was tougher to pick their most important player. They have a lot of 6 and 7 out of 10 players, and it doesn't feel like they have a lot of 8 or 9 out of 10 players. If I had to pick, it would probably be Ball of Rage CJ Stander, or maybe their silky smooth lock James Ryan. Scotland, the little team that could. That is an outdated trope. This Scottish team is big, powerful, and they have a backline that will cut it up in Super Rugby. It almost feels like their biggest issue is believing all the hype that they really are this good. For me, the coolest dudes in their team are Finn Russell and Stuart Hogg. They are probably 2 of the best attacking players in rugby right now. Finn Russell is mad and he will try anything on a rugby field. And Hogg is there to usually either finish it off or try and clean up the mess. Watch Scotland play if you like fun. Italy is the most recent addition to the championship, and man does it show. It's been a long hard slog since they were added in the year 2000. On only 6 occasions since joining have they not finished last. And they too are under a new coach, South African Franco Smith. They have been attacking brilliantly lately, but their defense has been shocking and it's been leading to hammerings. Over the years though, they have contributed some legends to the game, and hopefully this team will sort out their defense and we can have some closer matches. Most awesomest and cool players? It has to be human wrecking ball Jake Polledri. Don't let his timid looks fool you. This guy's a murderer and he puts the best defenders in the world on their butts. France are total ballers. My absolutely biased opinion is that they can do no wrong, except when half the team gets infected with COVID in the middle of a Six Nations tournament. Idiots! What are you doing? The current French team plays with a hard, in-your-face defense, and then they use their frankly unfair amounts of talent to capitalize on any errors that defense causes. The French have always had talent, but under their new coach and captain, they've been able to focus that talent into a death laser. So, who are the most talented of all these talenty boys? You know I'm going to say it, Antoine Dupont, the freakish rugby god king that is currently sick with COVID. Also, there's Charles Olivon, captain and rugby boss, also currently sick with COVID. And then let's add Teddy Thomas, brilliant and super fast winger. He's currently sick with indifference. This man doesn't seem to care what's going on a rugby field. He just never looks like he's trying. Try harder, Teddy. Please, try harder. You'll score more tries. So, that's the championship, and those are the teams. I still think France should win it. That's just my opinion. For the weekend, Italy's probably losing to Ireland at home. Wales will somehow make England concede a red card and then beat that 14-man team only just. A second-string France team will probably give up a big lead in the first half to Scotland, only for Scotland to come back in the second half and give up that lead, and once again, beat themselves. Also, the New Zealand and Aussie Super Rugby tournaments are back on this weekend. You should go watch that. So that's it for this week. See you next week. Bye.